songs, performance, visuals, all of that, that's when you present to a label. You never know when your great moment is going to come, but you'll need to be prepared. Good morning, folks, and welcome to RenmanMusicandBusiness.com. My name is Steve Rennie, and I am the Renman, and I'm the host of this little program. If you're looking to do something big in the music business as an artist or a music professional, I think you've come to the right place today, particularly if you've got some questions and need some help about how to deal with this wacky business. On today's show, I'm going to be fielding some questions from our Renman Music and Business members, our little renegades out there. We call the segment Ask Renman, and we're going to get right into that in a second. But before we do that, let me introduce you to our illustrious and low-paid crew here. Over to my left, over there at Command Central, there's Mr. Joseph Pepe. Brand new haircut. Nice look there, Joseph. Joseph is shitting bricks over there right now and, wondering if this is all going to work. And I go, hey, who knows who's watching? Behind him, that smiling hairball, that mountain man, we call him the Labrador. His name is Matt Rennie. He'll be over there handling any phone calls for you adventurous souls who might actually dial in. And then over to my right, another great Trojan. Where's that Trojan man? Trojan man. His name is Evan Rennie, and he's my son, and he's a student of the music business at the USC Thornton School of Music Business. How's everything at the camp?
Great, as usual.
Who are we playing this weekend? Who's SC playing this weekend, Evan?
I actually don't know. It's on,
there you have it, folks. There's some real attention to detail. Hard to escape who they're playing on campus, but geez, Ev, are you going to class much?
I am going to class.
Okay, good. Evan is going to be manning the chat room for anybody that shows up today that has a question about the music business. If you ask a really good one, I'm sure he will get it to me, and we will do that. On the Renman Live show, okay, we want you to be part of the act. That's what makes our show unique out there. It gives you an opportunity to talk to music professionals, folks that are very talented, very successful, and who have a lot of experience to share. But the only way that really works is if you folks ask questions. We've got a saying around here at the camp: you don't ask, you don't get, and you don't learn anything about this music business. So you got a couple of ways you can ask questions and be a part of the show. You can, of course, post them in the chat room. Show them the chat room, Joe. Nice work there. If you post them in there, my friend Mr. Rennie over there to my right, or the young Rennie over to the right, will fetch those questions and bring them my way. If you are bold, if you're old school and you want to get right to the front of the class here, I suggest you dial in on our Call Me on the Hotline. Yeah. How much we love that Drake song there, Pepe. I love it. Hotline Bling. And by the way, if you are bold enough to call on that number, 310-469-9067, speaking of our good friend, Mr. Drake, we got some Hotline Bling for you. How about that? Cody Romness, if you're watching, Cody Romness did that fine piece of work right there. The handsome Drake and the kind of small, balding Steve Rennie over the Renman. Okay, there's the matchup. 310-469-9067. You call on that phone line. Here's what you're going to get. Joe, show them what we're going to get. Bada bing. There you go. Nice transition. You get a copy of our Insider's Guide to Today's Music Business, which is a power-packed course about everything you need to know in the music business. We'll talk about that a bunch during the show today, because for you folks that are learning about the music business, that is a great overview, and in fact, such a great overview. In fact, let's do a little plug for it right now. I suspect most of the folks who are watching today, Joe, are looking to learn something about the music business, and I suspect a few of them figure out, hey, I know about the music business. What are you going to tell me, old guy? So for you folks that are not quite sure, we have a little way of testing it. Show them the graphic. I want you to go test your music business IQ. It's part of our RenmanU demo course. Evan, can you flash up a little link to that for the folks here? If you go to www.renmanu.com, if you're just listening on our podcast, on that front page, there'll be a little link to it. It's quick, down and dirty, 10 questions questions to test all your knowledge in a bunch of different areas. If you do well on it, I'll give you a discount. Come back to camera one, Joe. That's enough on that. My handsome mug here, thank you. If you do well on the quiz, you'll get a note from me, from the teacher, congratulating and offering you a discount on our fine course. So I hope you'll check it out. If you don't do so well, you just need to watch more Renman Live, okay? Or be on the show today asking questions. Did I cover all that, Joe?
I think so.
I think that. Plug the music business IQ test, done. All right. What's next, Joe?
I think we should go into Ask Renman.
I think we should go and ask you. Take it away, Maestro. All right. There we are. Ask Renman. That's a very sexy graphic that Mr. Romness left us with. Hey, Cody, if you're not working too hard, you should call into the broadcast today. I owe you a coupon code for the course. You'd have thought he would have grabbed a few of those on the way out the door, huh, Pepe? Jeez. So our first question today is from a gentleman by the name of Kurt Calderon, who has a lot of questions I've seen, and we're going to actually cover two of his today. So post that one up there for me, Joe, and I'll read it for you. How much do you analyze the branding image of an artist is the question. I'm going to give you the best of this question. First, he says, run through a list of successful artists today, and they all have great branding. I agree. My question is this: how much do you analyze branding image? Meaning, do you do so much analysis of the way the artist looks, music videos, albums, art pics in social media? Back to me, Joe. It's a great question, right? Once you've made some great music, and you hear, if you've ever listened to an act and heard a song on the radio for the first time, right? If the song is great, it'll give you, it'll start to paint some images in your mind of what you think that artist might look like. I can recall recently driving back probably from the golf course to the office and hearing a track, this is 6-7 months ago, by El King called X's and O's. And the very first time I heard it, I thought, wow, that's terrific. I thought it was Adele, actually, right? So didn't think much of it, heard it again somewhere else and thought of her again. And then so finally I started doing some investigation to see what she looked like, to see her videos, to see how it was all presented. And when you find that the presentation exceeds what your expectation is, you're in business, right? So that whole notion of branding and imaging is important. I talked about our course here, and we spent a lot of time on this idea of marketing and promotion within the course. And one of the things that's most important is presentation, is noted here in this gentleman's question. So let me answer the question first, Kurt, by playing you a little video from our course. It's called, what's it called there, Joe?
Presentation.
It's called Presentation. Let me play this, and we'll come and talk about this whole idea of branding and how much time you need to spend on it. Take it away, Joe.
One thing to write great songs. You can do that without worrying about image and branding and all the stuff that comes with it. There have been lots of wonderfully talented songwriters who cranked out career-making songs for other people, never made a video, worried about their press photos, their image, or their brand. But if you're a recording artist and a performer, crafting a strong image, identity, or brand for yourself is hugely important. You paint that image with your songs, your photos, your videos, your interviews, your album artwork, your merch graphics. When all of those elements come together in a consistent and cohesive way, it defines your brand. The key to getting that right is understanding who you really are as an artist and making sure that you present yourself in a way that reinforces that. If it's not genuine, people can see right through that. It starts when you finish recording those songs. Once that record's done, you want to deliver those great songs in a great package with graphics that people will remember when they listen to that music. So many of the great records I listened to as a teenager or college student had great album art, photos, and graphics that all come rushing back to my mind when I hear any of those old songs. Apple Computer has always made great products that stand on their own, but when those devices come packed in those sexy boxes, you feel even better about those products. It's so good that I kind of feel guilty throwing away the boxes. So if you've made some great music, take the time to wrap it up nice and pretty for your customers.
Okay, there you have it. So the punchline to your question here, Kurt, is that yes, you do spend some time a lot of time and energy thinking about how to present an artist in a way that magnifies those songs and makes you feel even better about the artist that's singing them or wrote them. Let's go back to Tom's question there for a second. There was a whole bunch of other stuff in there. Long thing. Come back to me for a second. Tom, Kurt, one bit of advice I'm going to give you, right? In one of our recent Renman Live sessions, we talked about how to contact and how to write an email to people, okay? This is way too long, man. It's way too jumbled. You got to be to the point when you get people's attention. Now, me, I'm coming here, I'm answering these questions because it's part of my gig. Lots of people won't have that much time. So be on target. Let me see if I can, read this and make some sense out of it. So he wanted to know, are we interested in analyzing branding and image? And here's the deal. He has an artist that he represents named Garrett Garfield. Garrett Garfield in that music video is not the same Garfield in real life image-wise. That is not a true representation. So to answer this question, I'm going to show you a little bit of this video that Kurt's put in here, and then we're going to talk some more about it. Let me see a few seconds of this video so everybody can see what we're talking about. Take it away. All right, okay, so there's a little bit, so I get the picture here, okay? What Kurt says in this note is that basically that video, in his opinion, does not represent who the real artist is. He goes, the things you see on his website, they're all premeditated, very focused on the blonde-haired, dapper guy with a girl. He goes on to say, the branding affects the responses I get from music professionals. We want to make sure that we and other artists out there doing it are not overdoing the branding or overanalyzing. Well, I can tell you by the length of this note here, Kurt, that overanalysis is definitely part of the equation here. So let me see if I can speak to part two of that question. If that video that we just watched there is not representative of who that artist really is, that may or may not be a problem. Let me explain why. When you see an artist on a stage, okay, whether a pop act, a country act, whoever they might be, that may or may not be the quote-unquote real person, okay? When Dee Snider, who was an outrageous rock star in Twisted Sister, was on that stage, he took on the persona of this crazy rock star. After the show was over, you'd see him in the bus and he was reading the sports section and having a beer, not the crazy guy. So the real in the showbiz side of it, don't have to be the same. And that whole idea of imaging and painting the picture you want with your media and your shows and your songs and your photos and all that stuff is part of crafting that image, but they're not necessarily the same thing. If your question, Kurt, has to do with the fact that your artist Garrett Garfield here doesn't want to be a pop star. He wants to be a singer-songwriter. He wants to be a heavy metal act, or he wants to be, Billy Joel playing a piano. If that act that he's out there representing is not who he really is, then ultimately that will show, okay? And I think if that's the point of your message, great artists who write songs where the image matches up with what you're trying to project is where it makes some sense. A great example of this going all wrong is Justin Bieber, early in his days, had that teeny, I don't want to say teeny bopper, but that teen-oriented sound in his videos and everything played toward that, right? And all of his, Justin Beliebers, right, bought into it 100%. Things got a little muddier when it turned out that the Biebs was out there smoking weed and drinking and causing, havoc in the neighborhood with all of his buddies. And that started to cost him something because now you had something at odds with the image in the real person. So point of this is as follows, Kurt. Don't mistake the image you're painting for the real person. But if the real artist that you're portraying up there is not being true to themselves, ultimately it'll show. Because if your boy doesn't want to be a boy pop star, he'll find ways to undo it. So, moral of the story is, figure out who you are as an artist. Make sure that all the imaging, the photos, the videos, the bios, the songs, the t-shirts, every visual thing that you can come up with, all are in sync with the image that you want to present. And if you do that, it'll all kind of work at the end of the day, as long as you've got some great big songs there, okay? Does that answer that question there? That was presentation. Did we cover all that, Joe?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's see, back to my, I got my, there we go. Got to get all my pieces of paper here together, folks. All right, so we got the intro team, ask questions, plug the test, and presentation. All right, great. We got another question on our Ask Renman part of the site. Let's go push that one up there, Joe. It's about concert business. It's from Big Josh. He says, hi, Renman. Let me get it on my thing so I can read it. Hi, Renman. I am a concert promoter in Los Angeles, and I've been asked by a fairly reputable artist to plan a global tour. Currently, I'm trying to partner with other promoters around the world in order to make this tour a reality. However, because I'm partnering with other promoters, does this mean I am acting as a booking agent? If so, do I need to get a license? I book with managers and artists all the time, so I don't know where it becomes a necessity to have a license, or if do I need one at all. I love the show. Keep rocking. Okay, let me take those in two pieces here, Big Josh. Number one, the law that you're referring to has to do with managers acting as agents. And in the eyes of the law here in California, it's a labor code thing. I'm not a lawyer, so if I miss something, don't write me a letter. But the gist of it is that only agents, theatrical agents, are allowed to book live gigs for an artist. Managers are not licensed to do that. And the reason that is important for people to understand is if you're a young manager out there hustling and trying to get your act gigs, understand that you got to be somewhat not cagey about it, right? Because you don't want to be caught, quote, booking the date. So you might talk to a promoter and you might have him, quote, do the deal with one of the band members to confirm it, to stay on the safe side of the law. But the reason I say that is because so many times when artists are trying to get out of a bad management deal, if it turns out the manager was booking dates, they have their easy exit out of there. So that law applies to agents and managers, not you, Big Josh. That's number one, right? Now, I'll give you something to think about. You say that you're a promoter here in LA, and you've got a reputable artist that wants to do a global tour. Now, with all due respect to you, Big Josh, if you're not a big promoter in LA working with big time artists, okay, then I'd say you haven't conquered LA. And so as a manager, as a former manager of an artist, I would be probably not smart to be going with somebody that's not the A-level promoter in one of the big cities in the world, and letting him go out and book a global tour. To me, it suggests inexperience or some other motive on behalf of the person that's leading you to believe that you're going to plan this tour, right? Secondly, even if you were a big promoter in LA, okay, I'm not sure I would entrust you to go out and put together a global tour, and this is why you have agents, okay? Because an agent here in America might not be dealing with all the promoters in Europe and in Asia and in South America and in Australia and all the places that you'd want to play, okay? So, you know, that is why you have an agent. Now, let me give you something else to think about, Big Josh. While you are trying to expand your wings, not in LA, but outside in the rest of the world, which I can't even begin to stress enough how difficult that is, okay? You're gonna need agents to sell you acts here in LA. So if the first thing you're telling him is that you're going to go around them and play agent, I'm going to go out on a limb and bet that you're not going to get a lot of help from those very same agents there. So a lot to think about there, Josh. First off, you want to be a concert promoter? Be a concert promoter. It's tough enough as it is, okay? If you want to be an agent, be an agent, okay? That's a tough job. And big enough on its own. In America, even bigger if you're doing the whole world, okay? Number three, if you're gonna do something big in this business, you need some friends. And if you're a promoter, some of your friends better be agents, okay? So be smart out there. conquer LA, Big Josh. You tell your buddy, ask him, why are you asking me to be your promoter in the rest of the world? If it's a big enough act, they already have an agent. So something's missing there, Big Josh. I don't want to bum you out, dude. A little reality. I get this question all the time, Joe, where people say, hey, I've been offered to do some dates with Beyonce. And I go, really? That's freaking awesome. Where? In Waco, Texas, in Timbuktu, in places that nobody would ever book the man. So, you know, if you're a young promoter, you're getting the call on these big acts. I'll just tell you, I know it sounds horrible, and I hated it when I was a young promoter. Be suspicious. Okay, the big guys get most of them, and ask yourself why they would get rid of the big guy for you. And if you can figure that out, then one day you'll join up with those big guys, I'm sure. Okay, that's our concert promoter thing. Did that answer the question?
Yeah.
Anybody in the chat room there, Ev?
There's people watching. Nobody's posting any questions.
Okay, well, put a little note in. I'm going to remind you folks again. If you dial in on the hotline there, 310-469-9067, you get a copy of our fine RenmanU Insider's Guide to Today's Music Biz. That's a $99 value, all for the price of a phone call. All right, your call. If you don't want to learn, that's fine. Let's talk about our RenmanU course for a little bit. Joe, throw it up there. If you're not familiar with our course, it's 150 plus videos covering all the key areas of the music business you need to know: touring, publishing, marketing, and promotion. A lot of the things that we're going to talk about here today on the show. It comes in two flavors, folks. There is the solo version, which is $99, and that is an easy one. You go at your own pace. You study those videos when you want. You study what you want, where you want. It works on computers, laptops, tablets, smartphones, anywhere you can get an internet connection. You're in business. You'll have lifetime access to all the course updates, and included in that course is lots of highlights from our Renman live shows, comments and tidbits and moments of inspiration from some of the smartest, most talented people in the music business, I can assure you. And we've weaved them into the lessons so that you can hear other points of view about it. There's a mentor version of the course. That one is everything you get with the solo version, but it's also a bit more structured, and I'm going to be your personal mentor. It's a structured 10-week curriculum. You'll get daily email lessons to help keep you on track. Each week on Monday, you'll be invited to a private hangout where you can ask me questions on anything on your mind. We give you downloadable MP3s. We give you some swag to remember us. And if you get it all right, I'll send you a little personal recommendation letter if you're looking for a gig in the business so I can help you out. That's our RenmanU course. All right, got another question, Joe?
Yeah, the right timing for it.
Okay, let's play that sexy little ding, 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 because I like that. Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Do you love that little rim shot? I love the rim shot. How about that? Did you do that, Ev? That was very nice.
Jazzy.
Did you get one of those Renman swag cups there, right? We had a whole bunch of those up there in the closet there by some of our mini luminaires. I have one from M Shadows. I have Pretty Lights, you know, who left his dignity and his coffee cup here. Just kidding. Derek, love you. You can come back any old time. And when you see Derek out there on the road, ask him about that sour delay that he had over here at the Renman World Headquarters. Okay. We have another question. Throw it up there for me, Joe. I got it here. Okay. This is from our man, Mr. Tom. Why do I keep calling him Tom Calderon? Tom Calderon, just FYI, was a former big-time program director, then went to work at MTV, so I keep confusing you, Kurt. Maybe, well, I guess if Tom was your family member, you probably wouldn't be asking this question, so come back to me. Okay, back to the question, Joe. Okay, here's another question from Mr. Kurt Calderon. It says, Renman, first of all, thank you for all the content you have online. I'm going to skip through some of this. My question is one of timing. He manages that young artist, Garrett Garfield, who we saw a little bit earlier. He's done 3 national tours under a decent label, Razor and Tie. We have released 1 single so far, with another 2 singles to follow in early 2016. Then an EP release. Is leveraging this video as a ways to reach out as a showcase right to to do now, or should we wait till more music and music videos have been released before approaching music industry professionals like agents, A&R pros, lawyers, etc.? Back to you, Joe. That's only about a third of the question. Kurt, short, sweet, bullet points, all right? When is the best time to do something? Timing and lighting is everything, Kurt, and getting your act in a place where they are prepared for the moment is really what it's all about. I can give you a perfect example. My first band I managed, Kurt, was a band called Rama back in the 80s, right? And I was a concert promoter, and there was a guy named Rodney Bingenheimer who used to play new music on the radio on Sunday nights. So anyway, I'm driving home from a concert, and I hear this band on the radio playing the song Anything, Anything, and it was unbelievable. It was just ripping song. And I had this whole image in my head of how it was. Then I actually met the guys, back to our comments about imaging and so forth, and the image didn't quite fit how good the song was, right? But I kind of looked past that, and I thought, let me be your manager, right? And they said, hey, yeah, great, what are you going to offer us? I said, I'm going to have you open for the Psychedelic Furs at Irvine Meadows, which is a big venue out here. We did 10,000, 12,000 people. So the band's first trip to LA is they come out and they're playing in front of 12,000 people, right? And so I watched them that night, and to be honest, they were fucking horrible live, okay? They were scared shitless. You know, the singer was freaking drunk off his ass. They were a train wreck, okay? And, but they were getting a lot of airplay. And so I thought, I'm going to get these guys a fucking record deal, right? So fast forward, I invite every A&R guy in the business down to see him at the Whiskey A Go-Go. And you know what happened, Joe?
Nothing.
Take a guess. They sucked there too, right? And they didn't get a record deal. And then 2 years later, when the band was actually really good, every time I took them to an A&R guy, they thought they already knew the band. Oh, they suck. Great song, lousy live act, right? So the punchline to this is that timing is everything. So here's what you need to do. You need to take heed to that, the video we played earlier. It's about great pictures. It's about great videos. It's about a great press story. It's about visuals and marketing materials that all paint the picture of the artist in the way that you want to. Okay, if you're painting a pop star, then paint a pop star. You don't dress him up in cowboy boots and, you know, a cowboy hat if he's a pop act, okay? And that's what you do. And when you have all your ducks in a row and you have your, quote, act ready, songs, performance, visuals, all of that, that's when you present to a label. Because if you don't have all your ducks in a row, you won't get the yes that you're looking for. So hopefully that answers your question there. And there's some other videos on the website that you should take a look at. You know, there's a great interview by Nick Raphael who talks about what he looks for, Kurt, when he's signing an act. Sebastian Letellier, who was a young A&R guy from Columbia Records we had on the show 3 weeks back. Same story. He'll tell you what they're looking for, right? My advice is this. The whole lesson in timing and lighting is that you never know when your great moment is going to come, but you'll need to be prepared. So if you're orchestrating your great moment, pitching these acts, get your shit together. You may only get one look. There aren't any mulligans in the music business, all right? All right, Kurt, that's it. Shorter emails, Kurt. Is Kurt the guy that wanted to buy our mentor course?
Oh, yeah, that's him.
All right, Kurt, I'm going to just say this. I might have already pissed you off, but you could use my help. Anyway, sorry. It's true, man. You got, you don't get many cracks to get people's attention. You got to be on the money, folks. And God, do they teach English in school anymore? Fuck. All right. Podcasts. We have podcasts, Joe. And today I'm actually thinking about our podcast, trying to reference them during the broadcast. For you folks that have only ever listened to our podcast, you might be shocked to know that we do this all on video for you, and then we reduce it to sound. It caught me picking my ear there, Joe. Didn't see that on the podcast, though. If you are one of those folks that likes watching podcasts and who doesn't want to see all our on-screen faux pas, you can check us out at soundcloud.com under Renman Live. Ditto for iTunes, Renman Live. And do me a favor, folks, okay? I'm starting to act like an 18-year-old. I need you to like it. Please put a comment, and you can put in there, I love this guy. This guy's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Or you can sit there and go, this guy blows. I wish he'd just stay on the golf course. That's okay. I can handle it. I don't need to work. I'm doing this because I love you, folks. So that's SoundCloud. Take it with you wherever you go. And I actually listened in the car the other day, Joe, and it sounds much more authoritative without all the gags in there. Okay, here's another great question that comes up all the time, and I was thinking of our friend Mr. Pepe over there. Throw that one up on the screen for me. By the way, Pepe's doing fine. His second broadcast, he's got this shit totally together. Anyway, this email was from a gentleman by the name of Stu Basham. I'm not sure where Stu's from. He says, the heading was sending emails as an artist when you work as an industry professional. I'll read it to you, all you SoundCloud and iTunes podcast fans. Hey, Renman, I first saw your show in 2013 when I first moved to New York City, and I've been hooked ever since. There's a lot of things you can get hooked on in New York, and I'm glad you got hooked on us. I can't believe there is someone like you out there giving so much time and energy to help aspiring people in the music business. I can barely believe it myself sometimes. You are truly one of a kind. People have said that. And I hope to say thank you in person someday. That'd be great. I work in the music business for a large promoter in New York City. I will spare your name, but I've made some good connections through it. People now see me through as an industry professional and don't know that I'm an artist. My life's dream is to be an artist. I'm lucky enough to have a full-time gig in the music business that actually pays pretty well. But my question is, how do I tiptoe that line of submitting music without overstepping my boundary of being a music industry professional? Thanks so much in advance for your help. And he also puts nice, concise, Mr. Calderon, a link to his songs. Come back to me, Joe. That is a great question that we have there. And I get asked all the time. When you're trying to do something in the music business, you got to pay the bills, okay? Rent still comes, the cars still get flat tires, nothing is free in this world, so you got to pay the bills. So I've met more than a few musicians over the years that their moonlighting gig was working in the music business, somebody's desk, someone working, as a runner at a rock show or working as a stagehand or whatever it might be. Eddie Vedder, right, was a runner at the San Diego State Open Air Theater back when I was a concert promoter. I can remember he gave a cassette tape, that's how long ago it was, to our production manager when he had to leave to go to Seattle to go hang out with this band that became Pearl Jam, right? So it happens all the time. But I wanted to talk to my friend Mr. Joseph Pepe over there. Okay, Pepe?
Yeah.
You there? Let's go MP1, big boy. You got to get me in there. Yeah, we messed it up. Okay, let's go back to Pepe. See, all you SoundCloud, iTunes folks, you have no idea what just happened there. We'll fix it in the middle. There we go.
Right? All right,
nice
there we
work.
go.
Let me slide over here.
There we go.
Pepe, Joseph Pepe here for you folks that are listening, not watching, is a musician. And Joseph recently came out here to California to pursue his dream of getting a record deal. He's got a great band called Sleep Lust. And Joseph is exactly that person you described. Now, without embarrassing both of us by telling him how much money you make here, Pepe, I just want to ask you, you're in that situation of working for a music professional, and it's a somewhat unique thing with this web show and so forth. As a part of that, you're going to meet a number of people in the business, right? And so you will have that decision to make. I want to have a career as a musician, but I want to keep the pay going and so forth. How do you deal with that, Pepe?
Well, being fairly new out here, I'm figuring it out, but I feel like if you show up, do a good job, then those person will start to trust you, and you can start building a relationship from there. Mm-hmm. And it goes a long way to say that someone like Steve or whoever you work for in New York City already trusts you with doing a job well. That should show the other professionals that you can be trusted in a business sense. And hopefully that means you have great music, and the great music lines up with a good relationship.
Okay, so a perfect example of this is, we were working in the office one day and we had an idea to do a show about how to contact professionals. And as part of that, I said, we need to get like a young A&R guy in here. So Pepe, who's new in town, says, okay, let me go out and contact a few of them. So he sent out emails to 5 or 6 A&R guys?
Yeah, five or
And they called up, right? Or they sent us a note back and said, yeah, we'd love to be on the show. So Pepe did what I needed him to do, right? Which was to hook us up with some folks. A couple weeks later, we went out to breakfast one morning with one of those folks, and that guy, Sebastian Letelier. And let me ask you this, when we had breakfast, Pepe, before he asked you what you did before you came out here to LA, did you mention that you were a musician?
No.
Okay, so that was not part of it. So, and I'll tell you what I like about that. Who was the gentleman that answered this question? Stu.
Stu, yeah.
Is that when you're a professional, I'm hiring somebody, I don't give a shit that you're a musician and that you're in a band, okay? Honest to God, I want you to do what I need you to do. And I'm not the least bit interested in your side gig if it costs me anything. And trust me, I'm not alone in that. So what I liked about it is that Pepe was very respectful of what the priorities were. I work for this guy, we're gonna have a business meeting about his stuff, right? Now, when that guy said, hey, what do you do? He said, I'm in a band, and I encouraged him to ask that. Yeah. That was the start of a little relationship there. Mm-hmm. But Joseph, to his credit, has been very respectful about follow-ups and making sure that the old man, the guy who's paying you, his agenda is covered first. And so for you folks out there that are watching, okay, if you're going to work in the music business as a professional, you're going to be judged as a music professional first and foremost. And if you fuck that up, you'll be an unemployed musician, okay? And so take that to heart. But there have been plenty of successful people in this music business that managed to balance both those. Lady Gaga worked at a music publishing firm before she became the biggest act in the world. How about that new commercial with her and Tony Bennett for Barnes & Noble? God, I love what you've done, Lady Gaga. Come on the show with us, lady. I was bagging on you once. I'm praising you now. She's done a complete turnaround. There was a gal by the name of Jeanette Napolitano in a band called Concrete Blonde back in the 90s. For years, she worked for this guy I dealt with all the time. I had no clue she was a musician. And then there have been other great musicians like Muff Winwood, a retired guy from big-time A&R guy at Sony, who was in a little band called the Spencer Davis Group, who wrote a song called Give Me Some Lovin'. His brother is more well-known by the name of Steve Winwood, okay? But when Muff put down his bass guitar and decided to become a music professional, he was an unbelievable A&R person. Never, ever saw a guitar, a bass guitar, anything in his office. So when you're a music pro, music pro. When you're a musician, you're a musician. If you want to keep your job, be respectful of that guy who's paying you first, or that lady who's paying you first. Okay, does that answer that question there?
Yeah.
We're moving well. Any questions in the chat room, Ab? All right. We started a little late here today. Had some technical difficulties. We're going to post this online, so it's really for us to get some questions answered for you folks. So let's go and do one last one here. It's about indie labels. And throw that up on there for me, Joe. Okay, it's from a gentleman by the name of Mike G, apparently. He says, I have an independent label, in parentheses, vinyl and digital, that has a few bands signed. One previous artist is now signed to a major and gave the label some attention a few years ago. I'm currently working with a young and upcoming band and looking at getting more and more exposure. But apart from my distribution channels, what online avenue should I be focusing on to get them more on the map? Great question there. First thing that I'm going to talk about, and there's a lesson in our course that talks about it. Everybody says, I'm a label, right? Well, trust me when I tell you that indie labels come in all different sizes and shapes. The major labels, which we all know about, there are some well-funded indie labels, and then there are some, what I'll respectfully call mom and pop, fan-based type labels. And the big distinction you'll see between those labels is their infrastructure, the amount of people they have working there, the experience of the people working there, the infrastructure that those big companies have in terms of sales offices and promotion offices around the world in all the key markets. And not to be forgotten, maybe the most important thing when you have those first three is money. They have a lot of money to spend, okay? So our friend here would be in the indie label camp, and we'll call it more, it sounds like a small kind of boutique indie label, and wants to know what he can do. The first thing he's going to have to do is all the things that an artist would do that's not signed to any label because he doesn't have a lot of money on betting. And that means going out and making full use of all the online resources you have out there. If you have a label, make sure your label has a presence on SoundCloud. We had a very smart young guy named Ethan Bayer who has an electronic label he's starting. He has a big website called edm.com. And we got a phone call. And he uses that SoundCloud thing masterfully to get attention for his ex. If you want to bring attention to your artist and you're not going to have the money to go to radio, then you're going to need to get press. And that means going out and getting blog posts. And we did a session last week, and I'll reference that to you. What number show was that, Joe? 123? Yeah. About how to get press in today's world. We talked with an editor, we talked with a writer, and we talked to a publicist. So go check that out. Those are some of the cheaper ways to get the word out there. It helps if you can get the band. If the band is going out and doing their own bit of promotion and marketing on their own, like all the big bands do. They don't wait for instructions from the label. The big and successful acts are out there doing stuff on their own. If you can get an act that has a penchant for promotion on your own, that will serve you well. But just having distribution, folks, without having the ability to raise the profile up is not going to help you. Think of it as you walk into a big store. I was in Fry's Electronics here in LA. So you walk in there and there's just a mountain of stuff in there, and trying to figure out what is difficult. So when you've paid for positioning, right, like big labels do, it's easier to find your stuff. Do we have a phone call over there?
Do some stuff. It was Mike, he asked, after you've contacted a music business professional, when and how do you approach them in your follow-up emails? Okay,
that's a great question, right? And I'll throw it back over to you guys. Let's go back over to your section. Matt Rennie is out looking for a gig in the music business. Joseph Pepe has had some contact with some A&R people, and both asked me the same questions. What's the right time to follow up? Well, the truth of the matter is, it's a bit of a feel thing, right? And you don't want to seem like a stalker, but I can tell you from my own experience that sometimes people don't follow up for legitimate reasons. Maybe they're not following up because they're hoping you're going to go away, right? So you got to have some feel for it. So if you said to somebody, hey, let's get together in the next couple weeks, and you wait a couple weeks and say, hey, I wanted to send you a little follow-up. Now, don't go, hey, man, you didn't answer my email. Okay? I called you, didn't answer my call. That's not a way to start. It's to start fresh again. Hey, I just wanted to follow. Hey, I've been working on my music, I seen that you've been working on your act. I know you're busy as hell. Just wanted to follow up and see if we can find a time to schedule that meeting or to listen to my record or whatever it might be. And if 2 weeks, if you don't get a response back from that, probably not a great sign, but not the end of the world. And so you might follow up one more time. Say, hey, I know you're really busy and I don't want to be a pest. Now that's level 2. I don't want to be a pest. But now, this is part of the Steve Rennie doctrine here, you're going to start looking for a yes or a no, okay? Because if you contact them 3 or 4 times and they don't even contact you back, then you're getting the feedback. That's probably a no. So maybe on that third email, I might say, hey, look, I don't want to waste your time. I know you're busy and so forth. I'm looking for some feedback, and if you just don't have the time to do that, I understand, but if you just be kind enough to let me know, that would be great. And then somebody can go really easy. Yeah, I'm sorry, dude, I just don't have the time. And now you can move on to the next conversation. Matt, Pepe, how many A&R guys do you think you're going to need to call to get a record deal?
A lot.
A lot. Man, how many people do you think you'd have to call to get a gig? More than a couple. He's hedging. He's being stubborn like his old man. Great question there. All right, that's it. That's it for today, I think. Okay, one final thing here. A while back, am I on the right part of the script here?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Thinking of all those SoundCloud folks that don't even, they wonder, what the fuck, what is this? Hear that? That's the stacking of paper. Little nervous habit I have. A while back, we had one of our really loyal RenmanMB members from day one was a gentleman by the name of Stephen O'Reilly, who's a Scottish guy living in England. And he's been a huge supporter of the site for a very, very long time. And a while back when we started the course, he was so enamored with it and such a supporter. He's called me one day or sent me a note one day and said, "Hey, Ren, I don't need any big props, so this is me, not him, asking for attention." He said, I'll buy a course, the $500, $499, mentor version for somebody. I believe so strongly in what you're doing. So in the great RenmanMB tradition where we got about 10,000 things to do and 2 or 3 people to do it, some things take a while. Anyway, I'm happy to report that we are finally going to take Mr. O'Reilly up on that offer. Joseph, show him the graphic. We're going to have our first ever Renman U scholarship, and it's going to be for our mentor program. You don't have to play basketball. Doesn't matter how good you are at golf, okay? We're not checking GPAs here, all right? Not checking any of that stuff. If you sign up for that thing, we're going to give you a shot to win. We'll have some details that we'll be posting on Monday. But Mr. O'Reilly, let's put a hold on that credit card. Just kidding. Just kidding. Although I do appreciate it. It helps us keep the doors open here, folks. You'll get a chance to win. So stay tuned for some more details. We'll post that on Monday, or Joseph and I are jumping off a cliff. Or maybe he's just pushing me off a cliff. Okay, been getting a lot of emails here recently going, "Hey, when's the next Renman live show?" Right? Because I'm not sure these Ask Renmans really count when it's just me. What do you think, Joe?
They count.
They count. All right, he says they count. Anyway, if you work in the real music business, when you all get that real deal, or if you're an artist, come about the first week of December, the offices tend to thin out a little bit in the music business, and December turns into a whole month off. Well, at any rate, because I don't work in the business properly, I'm going to make that time and move it up a little bit. So we're taking the rest of this year off from doing Renman live shows. We'll probably do a couple Renman U webinars because I want to get the word out on our course. But we're going to be taking some time to retool our website, and we're going to be coming back at the top of the new year with a brand new look and a little bit more focused twist, as we've found our true north. And for me, and that true north is really, I've concluded that it is my last mission in the music business to educate and inspire all you young and even not so young aspiring artists and music professionals, and load you up with some knowledge so when you set out on the battlefield here in the music business, you have a shot of making it up that hill without getting yourself whacked, So we're going to be taking some time to do that with Mr. Pepe and the help of Evan and Matt Rennie here. So we're going to miss you, but we'll be back and we'll have some brand new shows booked for the new year because that takes a lot of time as well. So enough crying on my part, except to say we're not really taking a vacation, but we'll keep you posted on social media. You can reach us on Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud, Instagram. What am I missing, Joe? All the usual, YouTube. So anyway, I want to thank you for all your support over the year and look forward to having you back at the top of the new year, and we'll keep in touch on social media. Anybody got any parting shots there, gentlemen?
We're good to go.
Evan, fine job over there. Nice work. Over in the corner here, the 2 geniuses. No, other genius over there. You two. Pepe, Jesus, do I have to run the freaking thing? There you go. There they are. Pepe, step back and look at the Labrador. Look at the lab. Nice hat. Massimo. Nice hat there. All right. My name is Steve Rennie. Folks, I am the Renman. This website's called RenmanMusicandBusiness.com, and our show's called Renman Live. Today, Ask Renman. And we hope you've enjoyed it, and we hope to see you back here again in 2016. See ya! If you want to learn the music business, let me be your music business mentor. When you get done with my course, you won't be thinking like some rookie getting out of college. You'll think like a grizzly music business veteran.